Going to start by introducing the panelists. We've got Chef Manjit Gill, who's a corporate chef, ITC Hotels. He's also a great believer in sustainable gastronomy and the contemporary slow food movement and has authored several books. We have Anamika Singh from Anandini Himalayan Teas. So here's Anamika. Please give her a big applause. And finally, we have Kaushal Duggar, who is the founder and CEO of Teabox, an e-commerce company that is disrupting a 40 billion tea industry with its innovations in technology and supply chain. So let's hear it for him. Thank you. So this session is mainly aimed to understand what the tea culture in India is and how it's evolving and how we're romancing it. But before that, we're also serving Anamika's tea first. Yeah. If you'd like to describe what we're serving.
So Kushal and I were just discussing, and they've come up with something very interesting called the mull tea. And I happen to make a mull tea out of something that we have called a Christmas tea. So that's basically an autumn tea infused with spices and rose petals and some berries in it and some orange zest in it. So what we've done is we've just heated that and added some grape juice and some apple juice, and added lots of more spices to it, and some fresh orange rind to it, and a little bit of sugar. And it's nice and it's hot, and you can always add a dash of whiskey if you want, but you're not giving that today, yes. So I hope you like it.
Wow, smells delicious, yeah. Chef, I'm going to start with you. You've been in the industry before I was born, for sure. What are your memories of tea? And how do you think that has changed in India?
See, the tea has definitely changed because it's become a household drink just as a tea. But now, last few years, by a little more education about tea, and the tea sellers have become a little different, and people have started choosing the tea from which region, and all those things have much more into that. And so people always like to, now people have a choice what kind of a tea they like to have. But otherwise, before, I think still the most popular tea is our own style of cooking of tea. That's the most popular tea. Then enjoying the finely brewed tea from the fine leaves, from the fine garden, and with the fine climate, all those kind of things, still is much more popular. But I like to only add into tea, I'm myself very fond of tea. Tea is a problem. Every cup in if I say in a service sector, not talking about home, you don't know what cup of tea you will get. It will be right temperature, rightly brewed, good combination, right proportions of tea leaf and water, all those problems, they still exist.
So as two entrepreneurs who are trying to bring a revolution in the tea industry, in India especially, how do you see the gourmetification of tea changing here? What is happening?
Just so that everyone has an idea about what Teabox is, just 30 seconds. We are about 4 years old. In the last 4 years, we have shipped about 40 million cups to about 110 countries.
Wow.
Interestingly, India has never been one of the biggest markets for us. Only in the last 9 to 12 months, India has become a market. So I can kind of agree with what Chef was saying, that in the last few years, Indians are picking it up. Just as an example of how we are seeing the Indian market, especially coming up on the higher side, if I take an anecdotal example, our highest paying Indian customer is a doctor based out of Jodhpur, who every 45 days comes on our site teabox.com and pays about 55,000 rupees of teas, and that's not even tier 1 or tier 2 city. Wow. That's a tier 3 city.
Wow.
So what we are really seeing is there are unique, or I would say there are connoisseurs, there are people who are just like wine lovers, they're tea lovers all over. It's not just concentrated in metros or tier 1, tier 2s. And these people are well traveled, they have a taste of good things in life, and as long as a brand we are able to communicate the value to them, they are willing to kind of to a certain extent pay that price.
I'm just going to take a pause. Kaushal, would you like to talk about what tea you're serving right now?
So this is what we call mountain rose. It's Darjeeling second flush white tea mixed with Bulgarian roses, which has been infused together and in our facilities back in Siliguri. It's put together for at least 24 to 48 hours. So that's the natural flavor which seeps in. As a company, we are doctrinally against any artificial flavor. So the rose flavor is a slight, I would say sweet hint. It's not overpowering. So it's one of our best-selling mountain roses, at least in the Indian customer base.
Right. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Namika, which is basically now that with the availability of these different ingredients that you can mix, well, what is the right word? Infuse. Yeah. How are you seeing that journey?
I think for us, being a global company, we are seeing very interesting trends coming in India. Indians are straight away jumping to fruits infusions instead of going through the straight teas and then going to the next level. And as a company, what we do is that we really get a sense of what are the trends happening in different parts of India. So we have a clear idea, people in Delhi, what kind of palate they have, versus people in Bangalore or Chennai. So accordingly, we are able to customize the blends for the requirements of the customers with different, palates depending on where they come from.
Right.
And that for us, we have the advantage of doing that using technology. And that is helping us create very unique blends, very unique flavors,
Yeah.
which might be, sounding very foolish to everyone else.
No, I think they
but
sound very fancy.
It does,
Won't be
it
foolish.
is.
Yeah.
But to the layman outside this room, some of those don't make sense. But to our customers who really want those kind of flavors, I think that's the perfect cup for them. Because
Yeah.
what I've realized in my own journey, everyone's cup of tea is perfect for only himself. It can't be for everyone else.
That's very interesting. Chef, we use amazing wines in our cooking. We, the coq au vin will have lots of red wine in it. Do you see a way forward where we would be using teas and blends in our food?
Very interesting. You see, for me, tea is not a something drink, or the leaf to drink. For me, tea is a herb. Then you can put it for roasting with something, for smoking, you can make. I make also many times. It's a beautiful soup that comes out of the tea leaves.
Wow.
You don't need anything.
So I have a
Just the
quick
tea
question.
leaves.
You had two teas.
There are so many things. There are so many things you can make out of tea. I know how many people have you tried the pakoras with the fresh tea leaf?
Wow, that's nice. That sounds very
It's just
interesting.
the leaf the leaf which is not used for the
I
tea.
like the salad.
Because for tea, you picked up the very young and the fresh tea leaf. But the below that few leaves, you use as a vegetable. You make pakoras. Oh, it's an outstanding pakoras. I'm saying, if you think tea leaf as a herb, not as a drink, you will find a normal application.
Yeah. So the other thing that has often crossed my mind, I'm not a big tea drinker, but every time I have an infusion versus single estate teas, thank you, I needed that help, I find that a lot more palatable. So people like me who are obviously not very tannin friendly, how do we cope?
But just to answer your question, something that is milder, that's more softer, is something that you might enjoy, because if you're not used to, tea as such, yeah, kadak chai, exactly. And if you're used to your very milky, then you might want a muscatel or a second flush. So something like that. There are lots of options.
I think to answer your question, what I have seen is, a lot of Indians want those infusions because once they taste, they have something to relate to. They have tasted the fruits, the flowers, all of that in different combinations. Maybe not in tea, maybe in juices, maybe in cakes, all of that. So there's some perspective. Where single estate, it's so unique that unless you really know what you're drinking, you won't be able to compare it to something. And if you're not able to compare, you don't know whether it's good or bad. So I think, that's how I would describe someone drinking a single estate and not judging and coming to conclusion if it's not good. It's because this perspective is not developed yet.
What are the quirks that are involved with tea?
as far as in India is concerned, we of course go in for the regular kinds of stuff, more like kulhar, or you have a little bit of your cups, and but when you go out of the country, if you go to the oriental part of the country, I mean, which is like Taiwan or Japan or China, they have amazing, I mean, the kind of cups and the kind of the entire paraphernalia is just incredible. And each to its own, like, the certain kind of tea will be infused only in a certain way. So it's only, unfortunately in India, we don't get into the details. We just have certain kind of pots and certain kind of glasses, and that's about it. I mean.
So I'll be shameful here. I'll just say that, at Tea Box probably we have the largest and probably the best collection of tea wares available in India.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Even,
Wow,
thanks a lot. Anamika says it's probably one of the best in the world. And we have really spent a lot of time and effort in sourcing the best from, our accessories are sourced from about 16 countries across the world.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of effort we are trying to put, because we want to make sure a tea drinker has a complete experience, not just the best tea, but the best tea wares, which just completes and enhances his overall experience.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just, again, we are, always trying to use technology as much as possible. We realized that the most important part is, of course, tea sourcing, tea storage, tea distribution, and those three parts we control. What today we don't control is the ultimate tea experience part, which is the end consumer who's making. So as we speak, we are actually working on a machine very much on the lines of Nespresso, where your tea leaves come in nitrogen flush capsules. They are put in those machines. That machine is linked to an IoT app, which is again being developed in-house, where through that app or whatever that pod, once you put in the machine, automatically it will say that this is how the tea is going to be made. Everything is going to be automated. When you get your cup of tea, you can literally, also on your app, see all the tasting notes. You can give us you can give your reviews on the app, which again goes back on to the tea on the website. So it's a complete IoT device which we are making, which will create that ecosystem and will remove the so-called the last part of tea making, which is
So
where
basically,
most of
Anamika
it
is going to
goes.
be out of a job. Yeah, that's basically what this means. That's what you're trying to make sure. That's interesting. But thank you so much. Anamika, would you like to say anything?
No, I think it's been a fantastic
Good.
session, and thank you so much. I mean, the whole idea of having tea in, in a
food
gourmet
forum.
food, food for fest, the festival, having tea as a part of it, I think it's fantastic.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you so much. This was fantastic. We had such a lovely panel. Thank you.
Thank you.